I watched Attack of the METHGATOR today, so that means that you now have to hear about it. Every once in a while, an animal attack movie comes along that revolutionises cinema in a profound and long-lasting way. In 1963, Alfred Hitchcock brought us The Birds, which showed us just how terrifying a prospect having an entire species suddenly deciding that we're the enemy would be. In 1975, Steven Spielberg gave us Jaws, which began the entire concept of the summer blockbuster. And then in 2024, after nearly 50 years when nothing of note happened, Christopher Ray gifted humanity with Attack of the METHGATOR. Now you may think that all I'm doing now is being snarky and facetious, and to that I say, yes I am. But only partially, for you see, as silly and ridiculous as METHGATOR is as a concept and as a finished film, there are a number of important points to bear in mind. The first is that METHGATOR is a film produced by The Asylum, who are now infamous for their movies being, putting it politely, low budget. But this is just a niche that they've carved out for themselves in the film world. They make absolute rubbish, they know it, we know it, and their audience absolutely loves it. I know I do. And as such, this means that METHGATOR is entirely self-aware. It knows how silly it is, and it makes no attempt to hide this fact. This is the main reason that I actually really liked this film. For all its many faults, I was never bored when watching it, which really is the most important thing at the end of the day. The story begins in the hot and swampy paradise that is Florida, probably near the Everglades, though this is never specified as far as I can remember, where two meth manufacturers are working away in the woods and bagging up the goods before being apprehended by two police officers, Officer Farmer, played by Stuart Maxheimer, and Sheriff Williams, played by Bruce Peoples, one of the heroes of this story. The two meth manufacturing criminals, Shane and Trigg, while being put into cuffs, manage to get the drop on the officers, however, and then make a run for it. Officer Farmer goes after Trigg, while Sheriff Williams pursues Shane. Now I have to say that for me, Trigg is the highlight of this scene. He's played by actor Robbie Rist, who you can tell is having a fantastic time. A film as unpretentious as METHGATOR really needs unpretentious actors, and the absolute glee that Rist projects with his characterization and his maniacal laughter shows that he is in his element, and he has full permission from the director to be as hammy and cartoonish as he wants to be. He also played a bus driver in 2013's Sharknado, so he obviously likes working on asylum films. Trigg is eventually recaptured and held at gunpoint, at which point Sheriff Williams goes after Shane. In an effort to evade capture, Shane wades into the swamp, still carrying a bag containing a whole lot of meth. He's also carrying a small bag of the stuff in his hand, which he accidentally drops into the water. It's then that we meet the villain of the piece, the Gator, soon to be the METHGATOR. After Shane drops the meth into the swamp, the ferocious gator then sniffs the water and detects the bag of meth. And I just find it really funny how this plastic bag filled with this weird powdery white substance was so irresistible to an alligator. Like they can detect blood and prey underwater, but for some reason this alligator was absolutely taken with the smell of this bag of meth, so much so that it makes a beeline for it and eats the entire thing whole. The massive alligator then gets as high and violent as Tuco Salamanca, and that's when the absolute chaos begins. Wikipedia actually does a really good job of summarizing this film succinctly while telling you absolutely everything that you need to know. Quote, "All hell breaks loose in Florida when an alligator eats a lot of meth and starts killing everyone." That's the entire plotline that's on there. And now that the gator has become the titular METHGATOR, the action can truly begin. It starts its reign of terror by grabbing hold of Shane and eating him, though sadly we don't get to see this as the camera instead cuts away to focus on Sheriff Williams' reaction, which actor Bruce Peoples chose to portray not as somebody witnessing a man being eaten alive by a 15-foot-long monster alligator, but more like somebody being informed that his car has failed its inspection and he's going to have to fork out $5,000 for a new gearbox. A bold choice, but I think he pulled it off. The gator's insatiable appetite for human flesh, and more meth, mean that it continues on with its hunt, eventually eating Officer Farmer, allowing Trigg to make his getaway, and it also eats another bag of meth that Trigg drops as he runs away. One thing, well actually two things that I really enjoy here are the way that the gator is animated, as it runs around all over the place like the CGI team created a 3D model of an alligator but decided to use the running animations of a cow or something, and I also really like how the gator looks like a completely different gator from shot to shot. The way it moves is fantastic though, because it doesn't slink along the ground like you'd think it would, but instead it bounds around the place like a happy Labrador. We then begin to meet more characters who have been enlisted to take down the enormous meth head gator. The first one we meet is Dante, a very cool name, a DEA agent who's played by Laurent Marzette, who's been brought in to help with the town's meth problem and to get the place cleaned up before the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. Another interesting thing to note about Dante, the DEA agent, is that he's actually Sheriff Williams' son? It's funny because the first thing that came to my mind when this was revealed was me, myself and Irene. I wonder if it's a similar situation. It's just a joke, calm down. Anyway, Dante is here to help, but little does Dante know. He's about to enter his own inferno. Some deep stuff here. Other interesting people we meet are Bithlo, played by Ray Acevedo, who's a gator tracker, Anna, played by Vanessa Tomeo, who's a former cop turned bartender who joins in with the fight, and also Mayor Jensen, played by Patrick Laberto, who gives off corrupt, sleazy, southern fried mayor vibes wonderfully. I think that if I lived in Florida, I'd like to be a fat, white-haired, corrupt mayor of a small town. I think that'd be really cool. It was a missed opportunity not having him wear gator skin boots though. That would have been sick. Not wanting to turn the hunt for the massive METHGATOR into a whole thing, the mayor has secretly hired a couple of less reputable hunters to go after it. They're not strictly as professional as somebody like Bithlo, but Mayor Jensen is confident that they can get the job done. However, they can't, they don't, and they're eaten. I guess I don't really want to spoil Attack of the METHGATOR too much. Not that there's really all that much to spoil. It's a film about an alligator that eats lots of meth and kills people. It's not exactly 2001: A Space Odyssey, but I just want you to see this one for yourself. You really should. I highly recommend it because I love these kinds of films. I love it when a film knows how idiotic it is. Now, if you've seen my previous video where I reviewed The Last Breath, you'll recall that I was quite hard on it and called out a lot of the stupidity in that film. And the reason for that is that The Last Breath actually had the nerve to take itself seriously when it had absolutely no business doing so. It was a bad film that was absolutely convinced of its own profundity, even though there was absolutely nothing profound about it whatsoever. It was pompous, it was pretentious, and it oozed undeserved self-importance. But METHGATOR does none of those things. It's an obvious mockbuster, something that the Asylum is known for, and it rides on the coattails of 2023's Cocaine Bear. Itself an absolutely insane movie that I hope will kick off a full-on subgenre of animal attack films, the animals on drugs attack genre. I will rate Attack of the METHGATOR a 9 out of 10. Unironically. I am unironically rating this film a 9 out of 10. It's free to watch with an Amazon Prime subscription, so not actually free, but kind of free. Anyway, thanks for watching my review of Attack of the METHGATOR. I hope you enjoyed it and found it deeply fulfilling. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. This has been a Jaws World presentation. Take care. Bye-bye.